guys, and welcome back to this new series that we're going to spend on developing a region to try to maximize as much population as you can. I had to a degree started Limestone, but I have gone ahead and disconnected all of my services. And as you see, this is kind of the amount of residential units that I currently have available. We're going to break up each one of these sections primarily based on how the utilities and the services are going to allow us to go. With Services 2.0, we really need to focus on maximizing everything with our police, hospital, and fire stations so that we don't have any overlap of services, so we don't have continued issues. So the one thing that we will focus on is probably 80% of the regional buildings and 20% of the typical residential units for this region. And one thing that we're going to see here is that these service demands are 45 each, and that's just something that we're going to keep in mind. Now, the road structure here that I have started is primarily what I want to use to start my region. And because this is the corner that typically unlocks first, I want to be able to have access to not only the industrial, but the commercial part of this region. Specifically, when I come back to this region, I don't want to have to go searching around my region to find these buildings, but also because they're actually both 2x2s, they'll both fit right down here in the bottom just fine, which means this extra area is going to be used for utilities. And previously I had buried all of my utilities up here in the top, and the reason that we want to put everything down here on the bottom is because when we start to build out our city, we don't want to have to worry about anything being or needing boosts down in that area specifically from other specializations. So that means if we go ahead and focus on putting buildings down here in this bottom row that I don't need to put anything that requires boosts, then it's almost like a dead zone, and that's kind of what we're going for right here. Put our storage, because most people will probably go through and open up that additional storage that they get as well. And it looks like there is a little bit of an off balance set between the two. As you see, I have 2, 4, 6, 7 on one side, and it looks like I have 3, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. So we will just do our best for now, because I imagine most people aren't going to start their regions utilizing anything such as Omega for their services. So we will just go ahead and leave it like that to get started, and that is primarily going to be an area we don't need to focus on anymore going forward. I will, before the next video, finish out the first section here, but that's not something we need to worry about now. The reason I have this specific road layout on the edges is because this will allow us to stack these residential buildings on each edge back to back to back to back to back to back all the way down, and not worry about any kind of gaps in between for roads that actually take up space. Because if I were to put a road there and then come put a road down here for really no reason, that's actually the sum of another residential building. So if we can go ahead and stack everything on the edges like so, then we won't have to worry about that. So let's talk about what we're going to do on the inside. In an effort to split everything up, we're going to add another road off of one of the edges, and it doesn't really matter which edge we use, but you see I leave 4 spaces so we can stack 2x2 units in there, and we're going to go all the way up and leave 2 spots at the end. Now, why are we leaving 2 spots at the end? Because we can now have another row all the way down where we can go back to back to back and maximize as much of this, for lack of a better term, floor plan or space in our region as we continue to build it out. So if we do this again with another set of roads, 4 spaces, leave the edge, perfect. We'll do another one. one more. Should be enough to get us started, because the next portion that we need to focus on obviously is going to be our services when it comes to hospital, police, and fire station. So let me see here. This is built out to a 6x8. A lot of these were the free ones they gave us during this the 2.0 update. So let's take a good look of coverage. As you see, that right there is not too bad. That there allowed me to get as much coverage as I possibly could going left to right, but also I only needed to use half of a coverage to get full coverage, if that makes sense, of the building down there. So our hospital looks like it's going to fit best right here. Let's take a look at what our police station will get for coverage. Same effect right there. That looks perfect. Let me go ahead and find one of these regional food markets. I was hoping I had one that had already been developed, but it looks like I'm going to have to put some resources into doing that, which is perfectly fine. And the problem here is I need to keep this even with where I can put residential units all the way down. And I looked at my edge there, and that came right up to there. So sorry about the glitching. And that is where we're going to finish that. And I think all we have left is fire. So let's take a look at my fire stations. I think most of these I was fortunate to have level 8 when we started. And I think we will just go ahead and place that right here. So this whole row is kind of taken up with most of our service buildings. The second part that we're going to take a look at is our parks. Now, most of the time, what you want to do is be in a position where you can use the ultimate mayor statue and get as much for it as you possibly can. Now, the problem is it's not going to cover everything from left to right, but that is the ultimate spot to put an ultimate mayor statue. So we will go ahead and place that there. The biggest problem here is probably going to be filling in the rest of these spots, and I think these Sakura parks will fit nicely in that area in order to build that out properly. And then we can start getting into the other specializations. We want to take a look at transportation. The best bang of the buck is going to be these 18 by 18, 50% coverage buildings, because we can get away with doing 2 of them. And we're going to try to see, we'll put one there, and we'll put one there, and that'll give us decent coverage there. And then next, we want to make sure that our landmarks are covered properly. And the best, again, bang for the buck is going to be the Washington monuments. Education, you're probably not going to have a lot of 2x2s left, so I'm probably going to have to use a 3x3 or just the Omega Education here. And unfortunately, the best location for that does not necessarily look like it's going to be available to me. So let me go ahead and see what I can do here to free up a 3x3 area. And there we go. We'll place that there. Now that'll give me the opportunity to either go ahead and probably consider moving these parks off the edge in order to make up what we have going on there. And you see that 0 means I don't need to add another one because I already have maximum coverage for what I need there for my park. So we will go ahead and put that in storage. Go ahead and move all these up a little bit, make sure that this still is giving me coverage to the edge, and it is. Now this space here can be used for water towers, or you can go ahead and also consider within the landmarks. Now they have a nice little, it's not landmarks, I apologize, it's landscape. It's the new neon noodle shop. Which will give us some decent landscape coverage here. And I'm just going to put 1 here for the time being. In the future, what we want to do because of this spacing is we'll probably end up putting a bridge I do have some university bridges, so maybe we'll just go ahead and do it now. Let me demo. I won't be able to put one there because of the storage, I don't think, but we're going to try. Yeah, it's going to cut me off, so we will wait on that. However, right here, I can go ahead and add the bridge. Possibly. We will see if it'll let me do it. I apologize for the glitching. It's not really necessarily me. It's more of what we're getting from SimCity right now. Will it let me put the water there? No. So that part there, we're going to go ahead and move back out of our way. And we will put that road back there. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of testing things out to get things right in your region. But once you have everything here laid out, then it's easy to start filling in the residential units when you're done. Right here, I know for certain I can go ahead and put a bridge because everything else will be outward facing. And we will do that on every section of these roads, working our way all the way down. I'm going to move my fire station over to this end and still get the same result, only because it'll allow me to not need this space right here. And I can put another bridge here. So again, our city's starting to take shape. As you see, we have lots of room here left. We still need to add some entertainment, which I recommend using these Sims nightclubs. By placing that there, I get coverage from both ends and also a little bit down there at the bottom. And we want to make sure that we have another one that's going to cover almost everything. We'll place our second one there. And the only thing that leaves us left with is space. So I'm going to have to get a little bit more sim cache before I can place my space. But probably going to put both of them next to each other here as well. In fact, I may only use one. I'll take a look and we'll test that out as we go to see where we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck. Obviously, the rule of thumb is you don't want to have a specialization that takes up less of a boost than you'll get at a population from one of your buildings. So this being done, we're going to go ahead and connect at least the resources to the buildings down here to at least make them happy with that. But you can see we've started what our layout is going to be. Taking a look at our fire, you can kind of see that's about as high as we're going to go with what we have with the roads here in the first course, just to keep things moving along. But additionally, we do want to take a look at other things like Mayor Pass. We do need to kind of feed one of those in here. You do want to kind of keep it 2x2. You can get away with a 3x2 if you put it on the edge, as long as you're getting a big enough boost from it. So I will go ahead and add a Mayor Pass item to this to give us a decent boost, and then I will continue filling out the rest of the residential units here in the first section, and we will have the first piece of this complete, and we'll see where our population brings us after we complete all that there in lesson 2. I appreciate you guys tuning in to kind of get the idea of how to properly set up your city. This will give you a good start and a good reference point, because some of you still may need to open up sections of your city. I fortunately have already been able to take care of doing all that. Now, as you see, I placed the second park. I have two options. I can either put it here and then risk, having the overlap in this area where I'm not actually going to get a boost, or I can go up one more and know that two of those buildings right now are not getting any of a boost. I will probably, for the time being, pivot and maybe go to something else like the Omega Park here, because I know that it's not going to affect it quite as much, and I can utilize my Sakura Parks here at the end of the road to get the boost that I'm missing. So for now, this is what we look like. We're going to continue to build out this region as we go through, but I appreciate you guys tuning into the first lesson. Be sure to like and subscribe to these videos if you want to see the rest of the city get developed into a high population region. Appreciate you guys being here today again, and happy gaming.